It's an ill mind that's still time build and refine. Still getting mine in the nine at nine. Build and refine, build and refine, build and refine. Still getting mine in the nine at nine. Build and refine, still getting mine. Geometric, 9 at 9. Sean J. 9 at 9. Stylist Chris. 9 at 9. DJ has 1. 9 at 9. 9 at 9. Don't touch the dial, you heard?
What's good? What's good, everybody? DJ Geometrics here. Monday night, 9 p.m. Welcome back to the 9 at 9 DJ podcast, the online show where we have 9 DJs on a roundtable panel discussing today's DJ topics. This show is brought to you by Beat Refinery DJ School at Bach to Rock. Learn how to mix, scratch, and make music by visiting beatrefinery.com. We have school locations all across the nation. Tonight is part 2 of episode number 16. Our special guest panel from last week is back here tonight. We are speaking to some of the best ladies in the DJ culture. So welcome back to our special guests, DJ Shortee, Kuttin Kandi, Eliza May, Killa Jewel, and Toast.
Yay.
And of course, we got the rest of my crew here with me, my co-host, DJ Az1.
Hey, what up, guys?
Sean J.
What up?
And of course, Stylist Chris.
Peace. What's
if
up?
If you guys
everyone?
missed last week's episode, you can always watch them again on facebook.com/beatrefinery or youtube.com/beatrefinery. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and pass the microphone off to Stylist Chris.
So last week we really got to learn a lot about these incredible DJs, some of their backgrounds and some of the things that they've been doing during the COVID time, and we're going to continue on these kind of subjects and go a little bit deeper into the topics and kind of get inside their heads a little bit. First, we just want to jump off with some fast, quick answers. We're going to start it off with Toast. Tell us a genre of music that you've really kind of been digging of recent, and maybe an artist or two that you're really digging on.
Unmute.
Oh. Right. Hip hop and R&B is always like a really sweet spot for me. And right now I'm really feeling the music that my group, Tyrone's Jacket, is putting out. And also this artist, Channel Tress.
Yes.
Yes.
This kind of like intersection of hip hop with house, West Coast vibes.
Love Channel Tres, yes.
That is a really dope movement that I like to push forward as much as I can on my platform right now.
Dope. Killa Jewel, how about you?
Well, I mean, hip hop has always been like my number one love, but I have been listening to a lot of rock these days, actually. There's this one band out of, I think it's LA, AWOL Nation. Have you guys heard of them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just paid for their live stream of this awesome show they just did. So I'm kind of feeling them right now, and also considering the fact that I'm trying to work on my live show, and I'm trying to find inspiration, through what other artists are doing. I have to send a huge shout out to Grimes because she is from Montreal, so. But she's definitely a huge inspiration for me as far as her artistry and just what she does on stage.
Dope.
Yeah.
Can
Eliza.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, Alan Walker's music inspired me to change direction in my music, because most of his tracks have vocal, and that's why I decided to finally start using vocal in my tracks. And I just want people to relate to my music, to be able to sing along, and I just wanted to be full of meaning, full of feelings, full of emotions. So I guess that was my main inspiration.
So, Kandi.
Oh, in genre-wise, I just realized that you asked about genre.
Oh yeah.
Right now, for me, it's future-based. It's a relatively like new genre for me. So that's like the genre I'm in.
Future-based stuff.
So, all right, Kandi.
Oh my God, always the hard questions to choose because there's so much.
So many good options.
Right? Of course, I love hip hop. But you know what's always on my set, though, it's funny, is Fleetwood Mac Dreams. Right? And then next thing you know, Dogface makes the IG video, captured all that I'm feeling and holding during COVID-19.
Oh my God.
That stays heavy on my rotation right now because. And I watch the video over and over and over just because it's capturing like how I feel in this time. But an artist that I really want to lift up is like Ruby Ibarra, Filipino MC, hip hop artist, political, anything political, I'll just throw down. Like, I love hearing a good YG F the Police, you know, I love hearing like criticized music, especially political music of this time and this generation, bringing it. So, but definitely lifting up Ruby Ibarra, who's like phenomenal, got the delivery, got the flow, got the ill lyrics, that got storytelling. It's beautiful. If you haven't picked up on their album, they dropped, and they're about to drop another album hopefully soon. So, I love Ruby. So I want to shout her out big time.
Dope. And we gave you enough time to at least come up with a genre and a couple artists, Shortee. There's a lot bouncing in your head.
I know. The decisions. I'm a Libra, and so is Rye, and so we have to weigh everything. But anyway, drum and bass all day, every day. Drum and bass is in terms of DJing. Rye talked about it, about narrowing her focus into what really speaks to her. I went through that a few years ago, where I was like, screw all this open format. I love hip hop, but not that much. Like, I just want to do, like, these are the gigs that speak to me. So drum and bass is what I narrow my focus on, and also production because of our label. It's all bass music, like electro house, drum and bass, trap, glitch hop, future bass, that kind of stuff. But drum and bass is what speaks to my soul as a genre. That, and I'm really into halftime right now.
Yes, I was hoping you were to say
beats, that. Yeah, because of the scratching and just grooving out to it in general. But just those are the beats that inspire the best cuts out of me, right? And everyone on here scratches, so you all know that there's some beats that are like, it's cool. But then there's that beat, it could be the same BPM, whatever. It could be the same sounds, just reorganized in a different way, and then that's what speaks to your soul. So halftime is what's doing that for me right now. And then in terms of artists, it's really strange because I've been working a lot in my creation cave, where I'm working on stuff that's musical in my, online coaching programs, but a lot of it is like stuff that, I can have other stuff playing in the background. So I've been listening to a lot of more ambient music because I can't deal with a lot of lyrics when I'm working on stuff. I don't know if you guys relate to that, but if there's lyrics, it's hard for me to focus. So, I'm really going back to some of my favorites, like Amon Tobin, who's a long-time favorite of mine. We got a chance to tour with him back in the late '90s.
I love Amon.
Yeah, Amon is amazing. I love him, and he's just like a machine right now, just pumping out albums. I don't know how he does it, but him. And then another old fave that not a lot of people know about, but this group, I guess it's a group artist called Shpungled.
Shpungled.
Yes, SHPONGLED. Shpungled, or Shpungle, I think is the act. And they did an album called Are You Shpungled? And then, anyway, the point is, it's like everything. I've always been very multi-genre, and this is like the epitome of like, if I had to pick one artist, it would be Shpungle, because they merge like Latin music and you know, electronic dance music and hip hop and rock and like blues and funk and soul and reggae, like everything in one song or like one progression, and it's very psychedelic in the way that they transfer, like transition between genres and stuff like that. It's very jam bandy, but with a much more heavy electronic twist to it. But yeah, so look up Shpungled. Amon Tobin is dope. And then, of course, I got to shout out Urban Assault, which is myself and DJ Faust. And we've been working on a ton of scratch beats for the course, the courses that I'm working on, and also I do these things called Scratch DJ workouts. They're free on YouTube. They're live streaming during quarantine, you know, so that people who don't have the money for lessons, it's like a free scratch class for like 2 hours. Rye does yoga for DJs afterwards, so we do like a linking stream, and she stretches us out afterwards. But that's inspired us to produce a lot more beats, because I don't want to have the same beats on every workout or the same beats in every lesson in the courses that I'm working on. So that's it's weird how one passion inspires the other like that. But yeah, Halftime Beats, Urban Assault, Amon Tobin, Shpungled, and always drum and bass.
Awesome. Well, that was fun.
a lot of good artists for our listeners to go discover from these tape makers.
What I was gonna say, not that I was asked, but after Killa Jewel was speaking about it, I realized that there is an artist. There is a group that I came across tail end of last year, I believe, and I don't know if you know them or have heard of them. It's a brother-sister combo from. It's a brother-sister duo, just them in the band, and they're from Canada. I don't know exactly where, but the name of the group's called Tennyson. And guys, check out Tennyson if you're into producing music. This is right up to. I mean, imagine live future bass jazz, and I'll say that future bass and jazz. Imagine that together, but live.
I would love
that. And it's brother sister doing it. The brother produces all the music, and he chops all of the drum parts into drum racks to his sister, and she takes the drum sounds and then she plays the live kit, all electronic. There's like 32 like MIDI like things, like I don't know, dude. Like
how do you spell that? How do you spell their name?
Tennyson.
Tennyson.
Yes. The one thing that blew me away, just look up Tennyson at the Ableton Loop convention.
Ableton Loop Live, yeah.
Ableton, they did an Ableton Loop like convention thing showcase, and I saw that performance. It's like 45 minutes of the dude talking about Ableton, and you're like, oh shit, that's pretty nerdy. This kid is a super nerd. And then it shows him performing, and you're like, holy shit, that was crazy. But yeah, check out Tennyson.
Nice. Yeah, definitely make sure to add those to your Spotify playlist, and just listen to music. But we're gonna move on to the next segment. We're gonna touch on the main topic for tonight and get a little deeper and more serious. So it's time for Unpopular Opinion. Ooh. This is where we bring up a topic and make the case for the opinion, the idea or belief that isn't really accepted by most people on that particular subject. But the whole goal, of course, of this segment is to help educate everybody on that topic and show both sides of the coin. So on that note, Stylist Chris has an unpopular opinion for tonight. There's my orange moment.
No judgment here. No judgment here.
But go for it, Chris.
So actually, the unpopular opinion segment has basically become something where we just try to shed light on breaking down a stereotype or breaking down maybe a misconception. A lot of times the popular opinion is based in just the loudest noise, not specifically the facts. We see that happening in our society every day. So keeping that in mind, I'm a person that's been a DJ in the music industry for almost 30 years. Since I was not even old enough to drive a car, I was already doing gigs in the music industry.
Your
so
whole life, basically.
yes, and from owning a record store to doing promotions to doing tours, and one thing I've learned is we see more of our ladies in our culture really driving the culture than anybody understands. I know that from owning a record store, and how many guys would come in with their girls, and the girl would pick out all the records that they spent the money on to take home with them. It wasn't the dude. The dude's chilling with us, barbershop talk at the top of the store, and girls down there, headphones on. She's like, "Oh, you need this one. You need this one. You need this one." And that's kind of why we wanted to have you guys give us a little bit of what you're listening to, because we all know the girls are the tastemakers. The girls are the ones that are really driving the industry, whether it's on the dance floor. If you can't make the girls dance in a club, then you don't have really much of a party from that side of it. And then when it comes to the musical side of what the girls understand, I've personally noticed it for decades of the just more attention to detail. You see our panel, most of them are all musicians. They're all musicians at this point. The unpopular opinion, that's kind of setting it up. But my unpopular opinion that we're kind of shed to light is throughout the last 10 years or so, the DJ has become such a household item, a name, a fashion plate, so to speak. And with that, we've seen a lot of fake DJs. And I think in our culture, the men that dominate it quickly will say, when they see a female DJ or a woman DJ, oh, they instantly think that she's not qualified or she doesn't have skills. They go to that without even listening to her. When in actuality, 32% of the workforce in the DJ culture is female to male. Male is 68%. I looked these facts up. I did some research to make sure you can fact check it. The U.S. Labor Department statistics say that in our American workforce, we are at the point now in 2019, the last figures, that our workforce is equally 50%. So no matter what field you're talking about, we're 50% female, 50% male in our workforce. But in the DJ world, 32% women, 68% men. And when you start talking about artists, especially electronic artists, it drops down. Producers, it drops down almost all the way to 15%.
Wow.
So we're looking at 1 out of every 5 people that are, and that doesn't even include promoters, club managers, tour managers, record label executives. But we still, as a culture and a society, the men that dominate it still will try to persuade the rest of the culture that when it's fake, it's more of these girls that are taking advantage, when we know very well there's a lot of, if you took 100 random girls that were DJs and 100 random guys that are DJs, you're going to find more true DJs that are the girls than there are the men. And so we're here today to let you all know, stop faking on the girls. The girls run it. The girls run the world. Start criticizing those dudes. Stop criticizing the girls. It's time for us to have the true equality in our field. It's time to see more girls taking executive roles, taking leads. We have some incredible leaders here. That's why we wanted this panel, because they're all not just DJs. They're culture shape shifters. They put themselves into all kinds of different spaces, and they are true pillars of their communities. So we're not even going to have you guys try to debate that topic or pull that up. It's beneath all of you. We appreciate you all being here, and we just want to start running quickly through the topics of how you have your experience and what you think about this inequality in the world, and how are we going to start changing that? What are the first steps we can do to truly make this industry have true equality, gender equality specifically? I'm going to run it. Who wants to jump at it first?
I'll go. Okay, so yeah, I feel that everything you said, it resonates in terms of being a female, it's a lot different when I started and like when Jewel started and Kandi started, because there were so few of us back then. Like I could count on one hand how many girls scratched when I started that I knew of, you know, and again, no YouTube, no way to connect like that. So it's also very regional. There could have been more, but I didn't know of them. So it was very lonely as a female. And me, I've always been the only girl in my group of whatever I did. So I'm a black belt, so I was the only girl and doing that at the time, and I was a drummer in the marching band, and I was the only girl doing that at the time. So I was used to that, but I was still looking for representation, and we talked about that in the last podcast about representation. And it's like, oh, girls do this too. Then it's like, okay, I can do it. When Obama became president, yeah, of course there could have been other African Americans that come up and become president, but until that little girl or boy sees him being president, it's still not really tangible or real yet. It's like, and so then it's also coupled with, well, will I be taken seriously? Kandi touched on this in the last podcast as well. And we're so used to not being taken seriously in anything, especially anything technical, anything with electronics or technology or something that's perceived as like this is a guy thing, such as DJing or martial arts or drumming or, you know, boxing or whatever you're doing, right? So that's already baked in. So when we started, there were so few of us that, for me, there was this kind of balance of, I was the only girl in my crew. I think Kandi was the only girl in her crew. Jewel, I'm not sure, but I'm guessing you were probably the only girl. and it's like, there's this kind of weird thing where it's like, well, there's only room for one of us, so you have to defend your territory, because that's just how life was, you know?
The den mother.
Yeah, it's like, you got to defend your territory. I'm the token girl, even though you don't want to be the token girl, but it's like, it's just like there's that competition in a way, but at the same time, I never really, there was a little bit of defensiveness that comes up when you see another girl, but then it's so overshadowed by, oh my God, you're my sister. Like, thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
And then you connect.
Yeah, no, that's totally the thing. Sorry to interrupt, but like, just to pick up on what you're saying, I mean, on the one hand, being the only girl was great for us because that, I guess, sort of shone a spotlight on us and allowed us the opportunity to shine. But at the same time, there's still this glass ceiling where, okay, there's so many more female DJs now than there were when we started, but you might still only see like, 10% female artists on the bill. And why is that, right? That's something we have to question, like, who's making these decisions? How many women are actually at the top making these decisions? And is there maybe possibly like a power struggle happening where women are trying to break through, and maybe, I don't know, I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, but maybe certain male artists are feeling threatened by it.
Absolutely.
Talk.
In my mind.
Definitely.
The same way that the white America feels threatened, that equality is coming from on that side. It's when people that have had illicit control for so long start to lose their control, they just start to push harder to hold their control. So I think they're going to see that pushback. And
there's also this sense of like competition, right? Like as Shortee was saying, like, there can only be one girl on the bill where, well, why can't there be more? Why can't it be 50-50? Why can't it be like 80% female and 20% male? Like, when do you ever see that number? You know what I mean? Why only one?
Well, I wanted to quickly, Ian, you guys can even do it by show of hands. Do you like when you're billed as like the all-girl DJ night or the all-ladies-only DJ night, or do you feel that is like a promoter trying to exploit? Oh, we've got all girls tonight. Like it or don't like it? If you like it, put your hand up.
I'm half and half. I balance. I see both sides of it. So I see it's an opportunity for women to come out in solidarity with each other too, and commune and show our power and show our talent and everything. But on the flip side, the only time you see over 80% of women on the bill, like what Jewel was saying, is when you're doing a ladies only podcast or a ladies only night or whatever. And then it's like you take all, no offense to this podcast.
No.
Call how you see it. That's what this is about.
Real. But that's real.
If you sprinkled them out, we'd have a lot more representation rather than lumping all the girls on one night and then the other 50 nights are all a sausage fest.
Right.
You know? And so like, even if it's just one girl in every lineup or whatever, I feel like it's important, obviously, to have representation. We have to earn that. We're not asking for handouts. But what I wanted to say earlier is that one of the things that Chris touched on in the last podcast and a little bit at the beginning of this one is that women seem to take things more seriously, or in some respects, not every woman, but so, a lot of women, you were saying, tend to take their craft more seriously. They practice more, whatever. You were along the lines of saying something like that. And what I wanted to echo with that is that it's because we're not taken seriously that it's baked in, that show and prove mentality. We have to, it's like, oh, well, and you got to work 10, 20 times harder to get half the respect that a dude gets, because you have that roadblock of what you talked about before, which is people, society. Women are guilty of this too. I'm not just saying
totally, absolutely.
Looking at a woman and just assuming she doesn't have any talent or skill. Just off the. I've been guilty of it, and I'm like waving my girl power flag all the time. But I catch myself too. It's like, Shannon, what are you doing? Like, you haven't even seen her perform, so it's like, it's just assumed. And so we're coming from behind the 8 ball constantly, which means we have to practice more and stuff just to get the same amount of respect. And I'll share a quick story and then I'll pass the mic. But the quick story is when I started out, when we moved to Atlanta, and I said my origin story in the last podcast, so watch that. But so we moved to Atlanta and we started a DJ crew with Craze, 6-time DMC champion, won 3 times solo, 3 times team. Everyone knows who Craze is.
Who's that?
Who's that guy?
You don't know who Craze is right now. Clever, Shotgun, King James, T-Rock, and Faust, and myself. I was not only the only girl, right? So I was battling that. You're just in the crew because you're a girl. You're a Faust's girlfriend. Like, so I'm already battling that stigma. So that's making me practice like crazy. And then I was also the youngest DJ in terms of experience, not age, but experience. They had all been DJing longer than me. When we moved to Atlanta and started the crew, I'd only been DJing 2 years. Consequently, that's also when I started teaching. At the same time, which there's a benefit to teaching with a beginner's mindset. But even in the teaching space, you get like, girls are like flock to me when they want to learn, but guys are like, oh, I don't want to learn from a girl. Like, there's that stigma there too. But so this story back then when we were in the crew, it was like, I'm not the level of Craze, so I'm already like feeling inferior about my skills. And then coupled with the female thing, so it was like practice 24 hours a day just to like be allowed in the club. Some bouncers wouldn't even let me in the club because they're like, you're not the DJ. You don't look like a DJ. Like, what does a DJ look like? And this is back then. Now we have way more female DJs in the mix. I didn't know that 30% figure that you mentioned. I thought it was actually more. But I feel like that girls are just like, they ask permission a lot. And I don't want to put it all on the dudes to like, you have to change. You have to allow us on your bills. It's like, no, we also got to come, we got to stop asking for permission. We're like, no, I'm here. I earned this spot, and back it up with skill. You can't just go on your looks and be cute. Use your assets because the guys use them too. And they have other assets. But back it up with skill so that you're taken seriously. But it's like that balance of, it's hard because it's societal. And I know Kandi can speak to this even more deeply than I can, but it's so ingrained in every facet of every industry. And now during COVID, it's like setting women back so much because it's affecting the female workforce so much more than men because they're taking care of the kids now, and then there's the one main breadwinner. So there's so many tentacles to this that we could talk for hours about it, but I feel like it's so ingrained. And so we gotta, as females, I feel that number one, community. That's why I try to connect with as many females as I can, because it's about unity, not about competition. Because if we're competing with each other, then we're never gonna rise up. It's like you gotta rise up together. So that's first and foremost. Obviously practice, come correct with your skills, and then stop asking permission. Start just showing people how to book you, putting yourself out there, not letting fear get in your way, because fear is what's holding everyone back. And also check yourself. If you're looking at, say, oh, I don't like what this person is doing, that's actually telling you something about yourself. It's telling, like, what am I projecting onto this other person? You know, and then come correct, like, oh, well, I've done that in other ways in this way. You know, like I've judged this female not thinking that she has skills as an actor or something. I don't know, you know, whatever. But it's in us too. So if we work on ourselves, I feel, and step forward with that, because that's how, and with community, I think that's how you make broad structural societal change. But it's been a long road, and I feel like it's going to keep going, you know, but I'm here to fight it, and I know these ladies are too. And now I'll shut up. Okay. Very passionate.
Very passionate.
Love it.
Love that.
Stabs.
Well, I think we're all inspired. We all, you know, if you check last week, you'll hear everybody's story. And I was specifically inspired by when Rye was talking about, you know, her aha moment of wanting to DJ. And just to your point, Shannon, she said, I have to do this. Like, she didn't ask for permission. She's just like, this is what I'm doing. Get out of my way. And that's what I'm going to be. And like, much props to you for that. And, you know, I think you girls are, I have a daughter, and so that's what I teach her all the time, is to never, do not be dependent on a man. Like, you need to find your way, be strong, be able to stand on your own no matter what circumstance. And my wife, more importantly, is teaching her that, you know, and I'm more supporting my wife in her discussions with our daughter. And, you know, Shannon, you're saying like the moms are staying home. It's like a lot of us male DJs that have kids are the flip, because like we're the ones that are now home, being the homeschool parents, still trying to do our DJ stuff, doing our gigs.
I was like, that's Chris.
My wife's got the good job, you know, because she's
my wife's got the good job.
I'm in the same boat.
That's Chris and Gio.
He's supporting me right now.
And me. Oh, shit.
Shout outs to all the sugar mamas.
My sugar mama, I love you.
Actually, I just want to say one more thing, and I promise I'll shut up. As females, all these ladies are doing it right now, right? But if there's any females that are working on your craft, and you're up and coming DJs, or, you know, this is one tip I will give to you. Whenever you feel the fear of showing up or playing bigger, take it outside of yourself and say, instead of making it about yourself and all this fear, say, when I show up big, when I play big, I am empowering others to do the same. So all the ladies on this podcast right now are inspiring all the other females that needed that representation on the Beat Refinery podcast, right? To get that, oh, girls do this too, and she's strong in her beliefs, and she's talented, and she knows her shit. Like, this is showing up big, and this is one way that I do that these ladies are doing that. But whenever you're feeling that fear, like, oh, maybe I should just like stay and not ask for this thing, or no, okay, make it not about yourself. you're inspiring that next girl and that next girl and that next girl and that guy who's strong enough in his manhood to be like, she's dope, she inspires me, and I want to learn from her. I want to be on a bill with her. You know, like. So there.
And can I just be honest with all of you guys? I am,
Please.
and all the listeners out there, I am totally terrified of streaming my live show. Like, this is the next step for me as an artist that's extremely like challenging and just, you know, that's the next thing for me. So that feeling will never goes away. Always part of you. It's just part of being human. And you know, you look up to people who inspire you, but I assure you that they all have the same sort of fears about being vulnerable in front of others and showing their artistry. And I think it's just to let you know that it's totally normal to go through those things, but it's also an amazing feeling once you do break through that.
And it just shows that you care. Because when you're nervous about something, that just means that you care about it.
That's it.
Thank you for sharing that honesty about how you feel with that, Jewel.
Yeah, I wanted to add to that. Because, you know, Shortee, like what both of you guys, what you said about struggling with like not feeling like you're good enough to be where you're at. I definitely dealt with that, especially on the road with my group, performing with them, because I look up to them as musicians so much, and I was kind of like, I didn't feel like I was on the level. And I remember after a show one night at the merch table, this woman came up to me with a little girl, and the little girl, like, she looked at me and she was like in awe. And the mom was like, she really wants to meet you, like, we just saw the show and blah blah blah. And I was like, I like kneeled down and met her, and it was like she was like shaking, like she thought it was so cool. And in that moment I realized, like, it's so much bigger than me. What I'm doing. So for me to be on stage and not maxing out to the fullest and owning every element of everything is like, it's not like a personal failure. It's like I'm letting down like a little girl, you know? So just like taking it beyond yourself is a really good way to just get out of your shit sometimes. And you know what's interesting too, in a parallel kind of plane, the stereotypes that go against us as female DJs, like, oh, she's just like a girl, or like she's just cute, or like she's just like whatever. When I started doing shows with my group, like, it was my husband, he was my boyfriend at the time. He was producing and rapping with his homie, and they booked some shows, so they needed a DJ. And obviously I was like, okay, I'll DJ for my boyfriend. Like, that's fucking adorable. But then we had like a vibe, so it became a thing, and it took on its own energy, and that became Tyrone's Jacket. But I was very aware of like being like the prop DJ, and that really motivated me, like, to just work on it, because I was like, I'm not going out like that. Like, I can't I can't represent this beautiful culture, you know. I have to come correct. So like, I think those stereotypes we can channel that energy in our favor too.
Bam. That's some serious knowledge. Kandi, you're like a real life Wonder Woman. You know, you're fighting the evils of the world on a day-to-day basis with all your activism, and the topics we're talking on spread beyond even just gender, with what you're fighting against, supporting in the everyday struggle, specifically through COVID and the things you're seeing in your community. Talk to us a little bit about, you know, your perspective.
Yeah, I appreciate everything everyone's sharing, because I share similar sentiments. You know, there's something about being a hip hop feminist that gives you an understanding of not just feminism itself, but a perspective as a woman of color, as a Filipinx, understanding the lineage and roots of hip hop and understanding different gray areas. And a hip hop feminism coined by Joan Morgan as a term coined by her when she wrote the book When Chicken Hens Come Home to Roost. And she talks a lot about the hip hop culture and the complexities and the multi-layers of the contradictions. It's a beautiful book, written in the 90s. But something that you said, Chris, and then even Jewel, like really resonated with me. One, you spoke on the aspect of white privilege in that essence, right? And then Jewel, you lifted up the fact that there's like men need to be aware of like who are dominating the spaces. Someone like Bell Hooks that talks about, and she calls it white supremacy patriarchy for a reason, because the two need to function together in order for it to exist. And so what that ultimately does is create this environment of where white supremacy patriarchy is a form of capitalism, and capitalism is about profit. And so a lot of times people over profit. And because of that entity of capitalism, it then fuels this race that one has to be better than another. Now, take me back to the early 90s in my understanding of organizing then, I wouldn't have been able to articulate it in that way. 25 years later, here I am, I'm able to give language to what I didn't understand. I think when I go back to 25 years ago, my younger years, and didn't really understand the gravity of what I was representing to people, except that one time I remember the first moment when I went to Canada, forgot what city, it was probably Toronto, and someone wrote a letter to me, and her boyfriend said, oh, my girlfriend has a letter for you. And I was like, a letter? And they're like, yeah, it's a letter, and she wanted to give it to you, but she's really shy. And I'm like, is she here? I want to meet her. And she's like, yeah, she's here. And I was like, oh my God, like I need to meet her because I'm not going to just read this letter and not meet her. So I said, take me to her. So he took me to her. She was hiding out in the corner, and she was, next thing you know, she just started crying. I was like, yo, bro, I am not like the Jackson 5 right now, but okay, I get it. And it hit me at that moment, like I was shocked by that, like the tearing, the crying. And I read the letter, and I understood the minute I read it, because she wrote several things. One, that you're a Filipino like me, to see another Filipina, to see another woman, to see all of those things meant so much to her. And it was at that moment that I understood my responsibility, my place, my role, and what I had to do from that moment on in my career or wherever I wanted to take this music. And there's something that we say in organizing movements. We call it make space, take space, in terms of community guidelines on how we work with one another. So it's about navigating that, you know, make space for other folks, and then take space and own it, something what Shortee was saying. We need to own and claim our space because we deserve to be here and we belong here. And I really respected a lot what Jewel said, because, you know, we have to check privilege. Privilege is a real thing. Men dominate the space. Because I'll tell you right now, when I was touring in the 90s and I would travel city to city, I found other women DJs, and not just women DJs, femmes, queers, trans, non-binary folks, all across the country, globally, that I didn't know because they weren't being lifted up, because who was dominating the spaces all the time. So that's why me and my crew started Anomalies. We started Anomalies because we knew we saw each other, but we weren't getting the show lineups. Only a few, the tokenized few, the ones who were lucky, the ones who had maybe more skill set. But how are we creating space for other women and other femmes and queer folks to also brush up on their skill sets as well? So we have to create the space and own space, but also claim other spaces that were dominated by men. So it's all about checking different privileges. Like for me, I may have different forms of oppression, but I also have different forms of privilege. Like I'm not undocumented. I need to recognize that, and I have to be aware of those kind of privileges. Same thing with men, you know, if for those who may not have disabilities, those are multiple things, especially people with intersecting identities. We have to be conscious of that. So these are things that we think about a lot of times as organizers, as activists, or people in the community, everyday life, not necessarily needing social justice or rhetoric language, but even in art, like in music, we need to recognize that, you know, there's a conversation going on right now in the dance world, and you know this, the word urban, like the urban dance. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about, you know, many times I say I'm a guest in hip hop culture. You know what I mean? That's for me how I see myself, you know, that I'm invited to this space by pioneers. I'm invited to this space. So these are things that we have to challenge ourselves to think about as we talk about power dynamics. Because yeah, hip hop's universal, but in order to be truly universal, like our pioneers taught us, we got to talk about power dynamics. Because if we really want to be universal and make space for other people, then we got to make that space realistically and take up space. So I think it's important that you actually had this panel because a lot of times, you know, back in the day, and I'm sure you all know this, like they'll always have the female DJ battle. And I used to get so irritated at it. Why? Like, why? Why is there a female DJ battle? But then I respect that too, because sometimes we need a space where we can battle each other to feel like we're in safe spaces and create brave spaces to then prepare us for other battles too. You know what I'm saying? And so same thing here, like you're creating a space for us to talk about these issues. And then I love the work that you're all doing. Like Shortee, I love that you are doing these DJ classes and making space for other artists and women. Those are things I wish I did in the early 90s, teaching other women DJs to come up, and femmes and queers, you know. Now, like I know different things I'd done, but I never knew that I was doing it. Like I didn't even know how big Anomalies was going to be. And now we're a gender justice collective to be even more inclusive, not just towards women, but towards all identities in talking about gender justice work. So these are things that I challenge our communities to think about in our work in artistry, because it's possible. There's so many artists out there doing like politicized, but not just politicized. This is survival too at the same time. Survival for a lot of folks.
Well, and I think you and I came up into hip hop probably around the same time. And, you know, when hip hop was a movement and a culture, in the same way you were talking about writing and also doing graffiti, dancing, like when you were a hip hopper, you did everything. You didn't look at yourself as like, oh, I just DJ, or like you wanted to master and be a part of all the art. Yeah. And also, you know, one of the kind of, you spoke on it, but one of the, you know, the unknown parts of the art is the activation of the movement and the people and creating that space. It's certainly different than any other culture musically of the, you know, generations now. You know, I think jazz and rhythm and blues especially had a culture of that movement, but, you know, in anything in the last 25 years or so, it hasn't had the same sense of community and need and to break barriers and to be a voice. And Shannon, just what you were saying before, like you were like, you know, always the token, oh, let's get all the girls on the we actually talked about that. We were like, do we want...
That was a big conversation point.
It took us a while. Like, we wanted to do an episode with girls for months, but we were like, we have to do this in a right way. And then we were like, well, there's 4 knucklehead us guys on here, so it's not all just girls. Like, we're kind of balanced, but...
Exactly.
But, you know, but it's true, because a lot of our... The girl DJs that we all hang out with, they hate when they get booked for like the girls' night. They think it's belittling of them. But then to the point of what all of you are saying in different ways, it's like you also have to take that moment and flip it. Mm-hmm. Take that stereotype or take that and twist it upside down and
show what you can do, show and prove. It's just anything, you know. Back to, you know, I hope if you guys take anything from all of this, guys, you know, especially in the world of hip hop music, especially, I mean, music let me know this, but in the world of hip hop, dope is dope. It doesn't matter how old you are, what you look like, this, that, and the other. It's all about what's in here and what's there. If your art, whether it's, you know, graffiti art, it's, you know, recording arts, you're a B-boy, you're a B-girl, you scratch, you DJ, you break dance, like, you know, just dope is dope. that's the beauty of this culture. It doesn't matter how you come in. It's all about how you set it off, and everybody's just like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know,
that's the golden rule of hip hop. I mean, and Jesus said, "Do unto others, you know, treat others." In hip hop, it's Rakim saying, "It ain't where you from, it's where you're at," and that's the golden rule. And it's not necessarily about a specific place. It's about where your heart is at, where your mind is at, where your spirit is at, what you're dedicating to the craft. And you know, we're talking about, you know, that side. Like Eliza, you're coming from whole other side of the planet, coming to America. You were speaking on in our last episode that when you came here, everybody's so nice. I think a lot of us were like, "Wow, okay, what America?
I was shocked when you said that.
What city did you land in? Where did you come from?" But you know, I'm sure that there's more to it. Tell us a little bit about your experience as you started to get success. We've all been a fan of yours and seeing your success. Tell us some of the pushback you maybe experienced, or any of the things that are going on through your success and career.
I just wanted to say that I saw and agree with Art about like dope is dope, and like no matter who you are and where you're from, you just if you find your passion and if you work hard for it, you're gonna get results, and there is like no other way. And people love talents. If you're good at what you do, if you put it out to the world, then you're gonna get noticed. There is like no other way. And also, like Rai said before, it's not just about you, it's about inspiring other people. And it's amazing to know that you can add meaning to other people's life. Like you can help someone else to not give up,
sure,
or to keep going. And it's like there's been a lot said, so I'm trying like to get my head around it. Just like about like bringing something to the table, and yeah, if I was to give myself an advice and I just moved to the US, I would just tell myself to keep going and be nice, be kind to other people, and they're always gonna be nice back to you. You know, that's why like I'm just saying, like I never had like anyone say or like do something bad to me, because like I would never do something bad to the other person. So I feel like you get what you bring to the world, you know?
I get that. And again, that, you know, if for anybody that doesn't know me or hasn't met me, or if you're just meeting me, you know, I go off of energy, man. You know, I think a lot of good things tend to happen to me because I'm just always in a good mood, man. And I might have to force myself to be in a good mood, guys, but I'm telling you, it is better than being in a bad mood. It takes more effort to hate on something than to move on and be productive and do something better for yourself or your family, especially. You know, who cares about yourself? Sometimes you gotta care about others, you know, but whatever you want to do, you know, I don't know.
I think, Eliza, you're basically telling us you're a Jedi Knight and you just walk through and your aura just brings everybody to peace. And that, I feel that. I definitely feel that.
Tied in though. For any of you guys that don't know any of the artists in this group, you go look them up, and you will realize when I say dope is dope, you will realize what the lineage is. You look at what they do, and you go, okay, I get it. You know, these people own their dopeness.
And not only that, they give back to the culture, which to me is you know the reason Gio and I even started the DJ school, because everybody here that is in education knows that education doesn't pay. It's a lot more labor of love than it is anything else.
I'm not rich.
We do it because it's like oxygen to us, you know, and being able to preserve the culture that we love so much, or have a say in influencing a young person about hip hop, about DJing, about the culture and the way to approach it, is so important to our everyday being in existence that it completely outweighs anything else. And it's I think all of us share that on this panel, that desire to be on the front line of what we care about and what we love.
Can I jump in with I got a quick
go
comment.
ahead,
I
John.
wanted to jump in with something for Eliza. So one of the things that I think I want to make sure that everybody acknowledges here on this panel, and it's like really resonating with me, that show and prove mentality. All the women here on this panel, you have already shown and proved that you are committed to this culture of DJing, and even more so if you look at the big picture of DJing and then the small funnel of turntablists, like you've already carved out your piece of that and said, like, I belong here, I'm dope as shit, and I want to own this space. So I want to say, like, much respect for that, and stand firm in that position. But even more so, Eliza, ever since you said the name of your EP, Emotions, and like bringing forward what you're trying to do musically right now in this current moment in 2020, I think that what you're doing, whether it's a conscious thing or a subconscious thing, is you've already shown and proved that you're a dope DJ. You've already traveled the world to get as good as you can and network with the people that inspire you. And by making music that is honest and allowing you to be vulnerable and giving that to the world, it doesn't belong to you anymore. That is now the fuel for the fire that's going to inspire the next wave of women to come up and say, hey, not only have I seen representation of other female DJs that I think that I could do that too, but other vulnerable, successful producers. I think especially in that space right now, it's even more important to acknowledge that there's much fewer producers that are female that are thriving and really at the top tiers right now as well. So I want to say, make sure you take that to heart. Just props to you. I really want to see you succeed. I want to see all the women on here succeed, but in the production specifically, nobody seems to be talking about that. And if anything, I've heard a lot more about male producers in the EDM scene. We're not going to name names right now, but I think you guys can read between the lines and hear what I'm talking about. Manipulating emotionally and physically other people to make themselves look bigger. And so as far away as we can get from that, that's what I want to see win.
Well, what you put out is what you get back too. So, like, to piggyback on what everyone's saying is, like, whatever energy you put out. I was talking about Art. I was like so wanting to like vibe with him on that, because it's like, it's so true. And same with music, you're gonna attract more of that back. It's the law of attraction. I don't know if everyone believes in that, but I believe in it. It's very, very true. If you put out hate and vitriol and all that, you're gonna get that back.
Facts.
Put out love and community and equality and inspiration and your gifts and your talent, and you share, you're going to get that back. And the more you do it, the more you get back. If you're ever like feeling depressed, it's like, think of one good thought that makes you feel good, just anything. And then that multiplies and that multiplies and that multiplies, and all of a sudden you're starting to feel better. It's the same thing with the world and everything that we're talking about right now. And I think so many more now with this huge new revolution that we're going through right now. That's why we're getting so much response back, good and bad, because there's so much of it. But even drill down in our scene and in terms of like the production and stuff like that, we need more female producers. I'm right there like with you and saying we do not have enough. And we need more, and there's that barrier for women. Again, like, you just need to go out there and do it. Your voice is valid. We're all here in this instance in time. There may be reincarnation, there may not be, we don't know, but this is the only time that you're in this skin, in this body, with the, in this iteration of yourself. There's a reason why you're here. Everybody's voice is valid. And then coupled with that, then you take that, and then once you realize that her success is my success, his success is my success, that's when you start attracting more success for yourself, rather than getting jealous. If I was jealous with Jewel and her EP and like whatever thoughts,
Don't quote that.
I'm gonna attract more of that, but if I'm like, oh yeah, Jewel, she's killing it, because then it's like, again, if she could do it, I can do it. But then there's also that I'm excited for her, and I'm attracting more of that towards myself. And I just want to share a really vulnerable story. Rye knows this story, so sorry you're hearing it again, but it's about that your voice matters. We're all valid. And it was my first American tour, like outside of the East Coast, right? And it was with Craze. I think Develop was on the tour, Faust and myself, and it was a Fathomless tour. It was for an EP that Faust, Craze, and I produced. And we were on like 6 turntables. It was in Houston, Texas. And we all get up, we all start performing, and I just started getting I got the mind taffy in my head, like, I don't deserve to be here, all these guys are so much better than me, I'm like, no one's here to see me, why did they even book me on this, like, all this, like, negative self-talk, just, like, paralyzing me on stage in front of a packed audience, to the point where I had to leave the stage, because I was like, hey, Bobby, I'm Faust, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, I gotta pee. And then I went. I was gone for like 20 minutes, and then he came back and found me and was like, dude, are you okay? And I was crying. I was like, I don't deserve to be there. It was all about me, you know, like in my head, not realizing that that's not the point. And then, so he came, and I was like, no, just go to do the show. Then Craze came back. He was like, get your ass on the stage right now. The promoter paid for you to be here. The audience is asking where you are. You are here. You were booked for this. Get on the stage right now. I'm like, no, they don't want it. He's like, fuck that shit. You get up there right now, and you never let them see you sweat. and so I got back on the stage. I cleaned myself up. I got back on the stage. And I started scratching, and no, I wasn't as talented at that time, skilled as Craze or as Develop or Faust at that time. But the crowd erupted when I started scratching. And in that moment, I realized it doesn't matter. And this is why I wanted to tell this story to your students. It doesn't matter your skill level. Like, yeah, dope is dope. And that's totally true, too. But even if you're not quite there yet, the skill level doesn't matter. It's your voice that matters. It's your creativity that matters. It's sharing that with the world. Those people wanted to see me in my imperfectness. You know, and that in that moment I realized that my voice mattered, and that helped me carry through and push through, just remembering that time. And it wasn't until way later, and I wish it was so much sooner, that I then had the revelation of her success is my success, or his success is my success, because then it's like, oh, they were successful, therefore there's no room for me, or there's already a female activist who's amazing battle DJ, Kuttin Kandi, so me coming up new female DJ, wannabe activist, wannabe whatever, there's no room for me because she's already doing that. No, we need all the voices. And it's the same idea as if we play a set, if Rye and I play a set, we have the same music, same skill level, same whatever, it's still going to sound different. Our unique stamp that we put on it is valid. And so I just wanted to, I was inspired to say that after Art was talking, and Sean, just because it's all connected in the same way. What you put out, you get back. And same with all the racial injustice and all that stuff. I just feel that's like the common thread.
And you kind of answered the question without me even asking it. But the next question we were going to ask, and we'll kick it off to Killa Jewel first. You can kind of just give one thing. It can be quick so we can get around to everybody on it. But if you could go back and kind of, Shortee, you just kind of did that with your story. But if you could go back and tell your, self 23 years ago, one piece of advice that you know now that you wish you could have kind of picked up on then, do you have anything for your time machine right now?
Yeah, I think the first thing that comes to mind is to stop comparing myself to other people. I feel like, just as a human, I feel like it's normal to do that. But I didn't have the skill set back then to really catch myself in the moment and be like, wait, I'm comparing myself to this person and it's making me feel like shit. And why is it making me feel like shit where, I should probably be like, growing from learning from this person's experience, right? So I'd say, like very quickly, I just believe it's not to compare and really to just learn. I think learning from other people's abilities is a much more productive way of dealing with that emotion.
Kandi, what do you got for yourself?
Same thing, to be honest. I mean, it's like I look back and I let too many of my own self-doubt, imposter syndrome is real. But a lot of that's conditioned by the dominant forces, conditions around us, but of society or the systems in place. But for me, I let too much of the doubt go through, and I turned down too many gigs, too many things because self-doubt. But I also try not to blame myself for that either. Spend too much time blaming myself and shaming myself like, oh, I should have done that, I should have did this. And a lot of times right now, people are like, oh, I miss the old Kandi that would do this gig and that gig and or used to do this and that. Like, I love my life right now. I love everything I do. I love my children. I love the path I took. I love the work that I do. I will always love the time that I did what I did when I was DJing. But I look back at my life and and I was saying that, I think I was mentioning this to Julie just recently on our IG. I was talking about, like, I don't really like my social media blowing up. I don't like followers. That stuff scares me because maybe that's from me. I'm like, please don't follow me. I made an IG public page last year. Like, oh, this makes me nervous. I don't want nothing public, and it still stems. It's still rooted from like that fear of like caring too much what people think. You know what I mean? And I still say that to myself today because it's real. It's like I constantly. That's why I totally want to reaffirm what Jules was saying about, the fear of like, you got your own work coming out, new work. I'm excited to hear about it. And I know it's going to be fucking phenomenal as hell, and, but we still doubt ourselves, and so when people tell me now, like, oh, we wish you did this again and did that again. And I'm like, well, I had my time. I'm not one of those people that try to relive things. And if I ever decided to go back to things, I'm calling Shortee and Julie, and I'm calling Eliza and Rye, and you're all gonna get me to do it if I were to do it. If I were to come back, I'll be like, hey, I'm gonna make a comeback with my girls. They're gonna
Dang.
train me up. They're gonna train me up.
We'll get
exclusive.
Yeah. I think in the chat in our last episode, Shortee, you were saying like you and Kandi never got to have that scratch session. So I think it's it's long overdue.
Well, we can do it virtually now. I'll get
There
you
it is.
Zoom set up. We'll get you multicam. We'll get you going. We'll go back and forth.
Right. What piece of advice would you give your younger self?
I would echo what I'm hearing, which is just like, stop doubting and just keep going in the direction full on and not question that shit. And like all that energy, just like channel it into the craft. All that energy that like you spend doubting or like caring what anyone thinks, just fucking take that and work on your shit, dude. Just get better and just show the fuck up even more.
That's what's up. Yeah, I feel that vibe from you, that you take anything that is against you and you turn it into your energy and like your springboard. So that's something that we can all learn from, is your adversity is your greatest strength if you allow it to be. If you just flip that mental. Eliza, what have you got for your younger self?
I partially replied to the question.
Yeah, she kind of hit that earlier, but
yeah,
not
true.
But first, I wanted to thank Sean for your nice words. It's like I almost teared up. It's amazing that someone like acknowledge your work, and just thank you.
You're very welcome. We need more positivity in the world.
And another another advice, I guess, I would give myself is to do what you love and not what other people expect of you. Because I feel like in my life, I was doing a lot what other people expect of me. Like it started like from school, then like my mom wanted me to graduate with gold medal. I graduated with gold medal. Then my mom wanted me to graduate university with 2 diplomas. I did that, but like I never really thought about what I really wanted. And I don't think like I was focused on that until this year, until 2020, when I was really taking the time to really think who I am, why I'm here, what I want to do. And yeah, I feel like it's not like I'm not blaming my mom, of course, for like anything. I love my mom, and like I'm not saying that she was wrong or anything. It's just they grew up in different time, and for them, that's like for her that's what important, but for me, it's not. So it's just we are all in searching for ourselves, and I just mean that listen to yourself and follow your heart. Do what you like and be good at it.
Absolutely. Let's one quick round, you know, maybe 20-30 seconds each, whatever you want to kind of, if you want to promote something or end on anything that you kind of wanted to mention out. Let's Kandi, why don't you start us off? Any of your parting words?
Any parting words? My God. Just, you know, like protect one another right now in this time. I think we like literally when we named our mutual aid, we called it "We All We Got," you know, because we are. And there's something that I learned from the organization Colectivo Zapatista, from the Zapatista movements, is that don't give power to something that doesn't deserve power. And we're in a time of why we call them 45, and I've never called him my president because he isn't. And so I don't like to give him any power. The power is in the people and it's in us. And yes, everyone should vote because we need to vote him out. But I think it's also what goes on after the vote. We have to organize. And I think us as artists, as DJs, we have the power to make that happen. Like there's so much that power that I've seen that DJs have to use their platform. And I really love that we talked about that, about, you know, everyone has a voice, and it's important that we elevate our voice and leverage that at this time where it's needed. We're facing more than just something that I've never seen in my own lifetime. And it's gonna take every single one of us. So show up for one another, be in solidarity, love one another, protect one another, care for one another. And yeah, I'm just really glad to be here. I'm really appreciative. Thank you for the time you've given me, especially one like me who likes to say I'm retired, but in secrecy, maybe I'm showing up in a session with everyone here, and y'all put me on, teach me the new techniques, all that's out there. I'm excited. So yes, that's gonna happen.
That's a good word. Killa Jewel.
What she said. Yeah, just I think it's an important time right now to share love and not hate. I'm Canadian, so I can definitely appreciate what's happening from a distance, but I don't think the problems that you guys are dealing with right now are only your problems. And I do just want to say, follow your passion, do what you love, and know that there are other people out there to support you. And yeah, that's it.
So are you saying America's like your drunk uncle? Is that what you're Canada's looking at us like, the drunk uncle?
Open up a bag of popcorn and
and just walk this bounce around.
That's the MJ meme.
Oh man. Rye,
Let
what's
circus entertain you. It's a circus. Just grab your popcorn.
Yeah, but go out and vote.
Yeah.
That's
Rye, what do you have for us? Parting words. Yeah.
Listen to each other. Take care of ourselves. Pay attention to how you feel. Give yourself time to take care of yourself. And pay attention to how you feel around people and who makes you feel good and who doesn't. And make adjustments. And be healthy. Wear a mask. Stay safe.
Thank you for those good words. Eliza.
Well, I want to continue stay safe. Stay safe, how you call it? I have Russian language in my head right now. But I just wanted to ask people to take this COVID situation more seriously, because I see so many people to not taking it seriously at all, and more and more of my friends having it. So it seems like the second wave is like coming, and my family was affected. Both my parents had COVID, but my mom was in a very serious condition. We didn't know she was gonna make it. So it was very hard, and she said she never experienced pain like that. Like neither when she was giving a birth to me or my sister, neither when she was in a car accident. She just said that it was like the worst experience in her life, and her lungs are still not restored. It might take years, and they might never restore back. So, and even if you're young, your body probably gonna fight it, and you might not even feel it. Like my dad, he didn't even feel it, and lots of my friends don't even feel it. But you can give it to someone else who can die from it, or who can have very bad health problems. So when you go out, don't think about yourself, think about people who you can affect, because it just somebody else's lives depend on you. And go vote. I can't vote yet, unfortunately, but if you can, you have to.
Thank you for those good words. And we're gonna end it off with Shortee. She's the one that kind of helped us put this whole project together today. So again, from all of us at Beat Refinery, thank you so much for helping support this show and put it together, and give us the final word.
You guys did all the work. I just connected you with a few people. I didn't really do anything, but I'll take it. Thank you. That's another thing we as women have to learn to do, is just take the compliment. That's one thing.
I tell my wife that all the time.
It's like, if you compliment that show, oh, this whole thing, I got it on sale, no, just like, thank you, you know. But, so that's some parting words. But yeah, in terms of, first on the DJ thing, the inspiration, if I want to leave this with your students, that if you have a desire to do something, that means that you are capable of doing it. I believe that the universe, or whatever entity you believe in, wouldn't give you that desire unless you were capable of achieving it. Yes, you got to work your butt off. You got to put in the work to get there. It's not like it's just going to be handed to you. But don't think that, oh, I could never do that, or I could never do that. If you have that desire, it's in you already. So back to the self-worth thing, you know, just try to, if you feel jealousy, say, what can I learn from this? If you start to compare, what can I learn from this? What is the universe trying to show me in this moment about myself? Instead of, oh, she's having success or he's having success, therefore there's not enough success for me. No, that's not true. You're here to learn, I feel, and also to share your voice. And when you show up big, you empower others to do the same. I said that before. Also, start before you're ready is a huge mantra that I've been like singing to the rooftops ever since I learned it, which is because we're like, oh, I'm not ready to do that yet, or I'm not ready to do that yet. No, jump in even before you're not ready, because you're going to learn so much faster that way. And you may not know all the steps you need to take, right? But all you need to know is the first step. That's it. That's all you need to know. Just like what's step one. And if step one is Googling what's step one, then that's step one. And then you figure out, oh, okay, that's step one. And then doing step one, well then, this is step two. Rai said this earlier when she was learning how to DJ and getting her DJ gear. I got my turntables. Okay, oh, crap, I need a mixer. Okay, oh, now I came back home. Oh, I need speakers, right? She started before she was ready, but she learned along the way. So that's huge. And then in terms of just like the overall everything, society, and what we're touching on at the end of this podcast is be kind to each other. Like we've all said, support each other, check in on each other. Really check in on each other because it's not just COVID that's killing people right now. It's depression is really hurting people right now. I lost someone that's very dear to me to depression. He didn't get COVID. It was depression through the revolution, Black Lives Matter. He was African American. He was feeling a lot of stress in this, and then also the seclusion of being in quarantine, and like all this was weighing on him. And you know, we were checking in, but we weren't seeing it. So check in on your people because the pandemic of fear and depression is just as real as the virus itself. So really check in on your people, be kind, even if it's just a text, you know, just check in and be like, hey, how you doing? You know, because that really, really does make a difference in people's lives. And then of course, yes, wear a mask, wash your hands, don't touch your face, don't touch other people's faces, and vote, please. If you're in America, please vote, for God's sake, and let other people vote. Support people vote, not just you vote. Like right now, we have a responsibility to get other people to vote. Share it with your friends. Make sure they know it's cool to vote, and help them make a plan.
Cool, dude.
Make a plan to vote, and another plan and a backup plan. Like this is really important, and I really love also what Kandi said about it's not just, yes, we got to vote, but it's also the work that we got to do afterwards. I feel that we're on the precipice of this whole restructuring of everything, and we can go one way or we can go another way. And it's like literally binary, it feels right now, for not just the US, but for the world itself. And so you got to choose, what train do you want to get on? Do you want a death and destruction, or do you want equality and and all that stuff? So get on that train and do anything you can. If you're a DJ, all my students are like, oh, I have no gigs now. What do I do? You have plenty you can do. Use your platform. Get on Zoom. Have Zoom parties. Live stream. If live streaming's not your thing, make mixes or whatever. But attach what you believe into it.
Start a podcast.
Share your voice, or a podcast. Start a podcast. And just you may not be an amazing activist like Kandi, who's like a founder of all these organizations, but even that one little small thing that you can do, which is
volunteer for her.
yeah, or donate to her, the organization that gets people out of jail, gets activists out of jail. I know there's a bunch of organizations that will donate to, she knows where the money should go. I'll just give it to her and she can get all the activists out of jail. Like that's something you can do too. Donate money or whatever, but as a DJ, you can use your platform to speak your voice, to get your message out, to bring people together, to make people less depressed. There's so much we can do right now. And so it's just so important to share your voice now more than ever, I feel. So just do it. Just start before you're ready. Get out there. Like, share your voice.
I will.
Changing lives. Look at that.
Awesome.
Already.
Shortee touched on it a while back. We're actually, and it's gonna be a good promo for the next episode. You know, she was talking about mental health. We actually are gonna focus on mental health awareness on the next episode. So tune in for that. Do we want to say the special guests on that so far right now, Chris? Or
we confirmed?
No, we'll keep it. Yeah, we'll keep it.
Okay, but
you don't want to miss the lineup.
We are going to talk about mental health awareness next week. But guys, that is it for the show. The time is up. And of course, the lesson is to take the risk. Dope is dope, and make sure to say it with your chest.
we thank the ladies on here one more time?
Give it up one more time for our special guests, DJ Shortee, Kuttin Kandi, Eliza May, Killa Jewel, and Toast.
That episode is fun.
We definitely appreciate it. If you guys missed any of our episodes, you can watch our past shows on Facebook.com/BeatRefinery or YouTube.com/BeatRefinery. If you prefer to listen to the audio side of things, the episode will be uploaded this Thursday to Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you consume and listen to all things podcast. Make sure to click like, comment, and subscribe. Again, this show is brought to you by Beat Refinery DJ School at Bach to Rock. Learn how to mix, scratch, and make music by visiting beatrefinery.com. We have school locations across the nation. Come back and tune in with us again next Monday, 9 p.m. East Coast time. Of course, I already said it. We have a new episode and a new set of DJs on the guest panel. So with that, thanks again to everybody for tuning in. The election is in 2 weeks, so make sure to rock that ballot and vote.
Vote early.
Vote. Mail in that ballot. Do whatever you can. Keep wearing that mask. Spread some love. We'll see you guys next week. Everybody. Peace.
Peace, peace.
Dope is dope.
Dope is dope. Vote is dope.
You guys are gonna buy it. Dope is dope. All right.